we're gonna do this thing and we want you all to give comments. Don't just watch us, but talk to us, even though I can't see it, but it's okay. So I got Vanessa Hardaway, she teaches kindergarten. Carolyn Kirkland, former teacher. Muriel Brooks, former teacher. Sheila O'Kelly, stuck as a teacher when the grandkids come over. And Lord knows I'm learning. But anyway, I forgot who's starting us, but you're she, us, her. Go for it. Pray for me.
Amen. Well, one of the questions I wanted to address this segment is as far as, and I'm asking my question from the point of a grandparent slash parent. With the virtual school and all that's going on, one of the issues that I have encountered is I felt like because virtual school was just dropped in our lap, there weren't any strategies that they had implemented to coach the grandparent slash parent through this on how to work with their child, how to discipline their child, how to assist them with any issues that they may have had with the virtual school. I was thinking that maybe there should be once a month that we can have a meeting with parents slash grandparents that will help them, that will give them strategies to assist them in how to help their child. Because it's all new to each of us, all of us.
Everyone.
And with these strategies, and I know that there are children that's struggling, I know that there are children that are displaying behaviors, and some of it may not be because they don't want to be in virtual school. It may be because they don't get the understanding, they don't get clarity. And as a parent slash grandparent, what do I do? What strategies can you impart into me so that I can be a successful grandparent slash parent in helping to educate the child?
Okay, so coming from where I stand as a classroom teacher, the first thing I would tell any parent or grandparent that's dealing with this new day of education, use your avenues of communication. Example, I would encourage you, number one, to generate an email. In that email, address it to your principal, guidance counselor, and the classroom teacher. And that request that you just made, I would send it and make sure that all of these administrative people, those that come to the table in this email, everybody sees your request as a parent. Because what I'm finding is you have a lot of grandparents and parents just like you that are at home and feel like this animal has been sat in their lap.
Yes.
And they have no direction on how to care for it.
Yes.
It's almost like someone dropping a giraffe off at your house.
Yes.
Right.
And you're like, what do I do with this?
Yes.
So you don't even know what they eat, how to bathe. It's just different. And that's what virtual school was. It hit everybody's house. And this was not a part of their regular routine.
Right.
It never came into their home. So how do I deal with this? So then I would just encourage, generate this email. And as a parent, express your concerns.
Yes.
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm concerned and I'm lost. And put that so that it hits everybody.
Yes.
The principal, also the assistant principal, the school counselor, and the classroom teacher. Somebody's going to have to address this concern for you, okay?
Yes.
And so you should hear from someone. And then give them give them a good day or so, because right now, teachers and principals, a lot is moving, a lot is happening. Emails are coming in constantly, whether it be from the state, from the local level, the state level, the national level. So you got emails. Give them a day or so to respond, okay? But then if after about a day and some change, if you haven't heard anything, make that good phone call, okay? Because what you want to do is when you are concerned as a parent or a grandparent, you deserve to have your voice heard.
Yes.
I tell parents all the time.
Right.
I've had parents just say to me, Ms. Hardaway, I'm sorry to bother you. I stop them. When you trust me with your child, that you gave birth, this is your flesh and blood.
Right.
There's no way you can bother me
Yes.
when they're yours.
Yes.
You trust me with your child.
Absolutely.
So I owe it to you to give you time and space to ask anything you want to ask me, because this is your flesh and blood that you're trusting with me. So that would be the first thing that I would say to any parent. Let your voice be made heard. Let your voice be heard. Okay? Make those requests. Now, what do I tell parents and my grandparents in my class? I tell them, if there's any way possible, sit with your child for one whole day through an entire learning experience. That way you get to know the teacher's demeanor, you get to know their command, what they're asking, what they're requesting. I think that all parents and grandparents should see that as a teacher, I want your child's camera on. For me, I need to see their face.
Right.
You got so many of these children, automatically they sign on, they cut that camera off.
Right.
For some of them, they cut that
Right.
camera off, they walk away.
Yes.
They go back to sleep.
Right.
If the parents are going to work, you can forget it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're trusting and believing that you're leaving your child at home and that they're doing their work. I don't see them.
Right.
They're not there. To me, when I don't see their face, I cannot account for them. I cannot. I'm calling their names, but you don't know as a parent or a grandparent that they're not there.
Right.
And then you have your child or your grandchild tell you anything they want to tell you
Right.
to make you think, well, she didn't call my name, she
Right.
didn't. So now they're giving you their side, but you don't know. So I encourage every parent or grandparent, just sit through one day of learning. See what that see what that teacher is looking for. Please have them turn on their camera. Don't let your child stay at home and feel comfortable cutting off a camera. That's not proper. Because I can't see, there's sometimes when I'm teaching, your child may be in the land of confusion.
Yes.
Will never say a thing, but you all know as educators,
Yes.
we can see it on their face.
Yeah, wow.
It didn't connect.
Yes.
The light bulb is
Yeah.
not on.
Right.
But if that camera's off, I don't ever get to connect with them.
Right.
So then at the same time, you can see what is the pattern. Me, as a classroom teacher, I'm pretty much holding to the same schedule every day. I'm pretty much asking my children to do the same thing every time.
Routine, right.
It's very routine. And that word right now for virtual school is such a major word, routine. I tell any parent or grandparent, have routines in your home. Make sure that your child gets out of bed. Let them disconnect from their sleeping clothes to their school
Right.
clothes.
Right.
They may feel like I'm not going to school, but they need to still have that practice of getting up, washing their face, brushing their teeth, getting a good breakfast, because once learning starts, if you know that my class starts at 8 o'clock, I don't need you strolling up, logging in at 8:15. You missed much of my teaching, because right now we don't have a lot of time.
Right.
So those routines at home, but at the same time on the screen, I hold to the same routines. I know that I'm going to teach phonics first thing in the morning. I need the parent to hear what I'm doing so that when we log off, you can do the same routine that I'm doing. If I'm asking little Johnny, what letter, what sound, what letter, what sound, what letter, what sound. When we log off the camera, I need you at home while you're cooking dinner. What letter, what sound, what letter, what sound. You understand my chants.
Okay.
You learn me. So sit through one day of focused learning with your child.
Can I ask you a question?
Please do.
Okay, since you said if the child comes on at 8:15,
Yes.
are there precedents set that they're tardy, they're absent? How are you taking roles
Okay,
and
so
knowing for accountability?
sure. And that solely depends on each school, each classroom. One teacher may do things different ways. I know for me, I'm looking at when we first started learning, and there's kinks and drops in technology. An example, there was one day where one whole subdivision was having internet problems. So I'm getting messages from parents saying we're trying to log in, but we can't get in. I can't hold it to their charge that they can't get in. But what I can do is you make sure that this is the assignment, log your work in. Send me a picture of the assignments, because after every class meeting, my assistant will log what we did in that class period and the assignment. You might not have been able to get on with me, but you can see what the assignment is, what the expectation is. If I get that work, I don't count them absent.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying? For some teachers, at 8 o'clock, they need to be on. So depending on the older children, now remember, I'm teaching babies.
Yeah.
And so for some of them, they can't log in by themselves all the way yet. So there has to be an adult there. So I have to be flexible a little bit. But when you start getting in the 5th, 6th grade and up, you know class starts at 8 o'clock, get on. By 8:05, I don't think a parent should be upset, because if we were in the school building, you would be tardy.
Right,
The
that's
same
accountability.
expectation.
Mhm.
If you were tardy at 8:05 in the building, you know class starts at 8. Now, my question is, when we get kickback from that, let them want to play basketball.
Right.
Let them want to play
Yeah.
soccer. Let
They're
them want to do
on time.
taekwondo. Those coaches don't tolerate
They
mess.
don't tolerate.
They don't. If you are not here when practice starts, you're not playing.
Right.
Your kids know how to get there 15 minutes early,
Yes.
and they don't fuss about it. Why? Because they want to play. That same kind of strength you have to get there for practice, you can still log on to my class. So it just depends on the grade level, the teacher, and
Okay.
that's just communication home.
So it's accountability with like attendance records, because a lot of
We
the
do.
schools,
Mhm.
my cousin is an educator
Sure.
in Ohio,
Mhm.
and they were saying how many kids
Mhm.
did not get on,
Right.
and this might be a pass,
Sure.
fail,
Sure.
or whatever.
Absolutely.
Repeating.
And I tell you, for me, I have students. If I see you consistently not logging on, okay, I do the assignments, I don't see work, and I don't see you, I have no other choice but to consult the social worker.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Don't be upset with me when you get a call from the school,
Right.
because don't blame it on technology all the time. If I've had no communication from you,
Just say.
I have seen no work from you, I have not seen your child even try to get on to one class meeting, I have no other choice but to turn it over to the social worker and say, this child, I have not seen them in 5 days.
Okay.
I've had no accountability, I see no work, and I as the teacher have sent notes to you. There's no correspondence. You don't communicate with me.
So it's the social worker. In my day coming
Sure.
up, it was truant officer.
Sure, absolutely.
But now the
Sure.
social worker,
Sure.
will the social worker get in touch with parents?
They will make that attempt. And a social worker, they have their chain of commands, they have their protocols that they must cover to cover themselves of accountability for each household. So after I've done everything I can do as a classroom teacher, if I have not seen you in so many days, I've seen no correspondence, no work, I've got to move on to the next level. So that's how it happens.
Would you,
Okay.
would you be doing the same thing if it was in-class learning? If
Absolutely.
the student wasn't getting with,
Absolutely.
you know what I'm saying?
If I don't see, if your child does not come to school every day, after 3 days of consistent tardies or absences, then we have to report this as no-shows.
Delinquency.
It absolutely. So I don't. For some parents, I understand this is all new to everybody, but there's some things that just have not changed
Right,
and won't
right,
ever
right,
change.
right.
It will never change.
Right.
So as far as if we were in the classroom, little Johnny, if I didn't see little Johnny for 4 days, I'm turning this into the data manager to say I haven't seen this child.
Okay.
My next question, Ms. Hardaway,
Sure.
is
That's good.
I know that you are a kindergarten teacher,
Yes, ma'am.
but I'm coming from a perspective of middle school.
Sure.
Now, you said a powerful word. You said routine.
Absolutely.
And I'm talking from experience with this virtual school.
Absolutely.
Now, when there are teachers,
Yes.
that routine is so very important.
Absolutely.
But there are several teachers,
Sure.
like for instance, the student may have 4 teachers.
Sure.
Now, I can only talk about what I've
Sure.
witnessed.
Sure.
The teachers not being consistent, not being a routine. There is no routine.
Okay.
When one teacher is saying you to do this, do that,
Yes.
and then they're switching over and going to another teacher, and this teacher's taking them down to another avenue.
Sure.
Then they're switching over and they're going to another teacher,
Sure.
and that teacher's switching them over to another avenue.
Sure.
Now, here is where confusion sets in to me as an adult.
Sure.
There's so much confusion. And then when class is over, when the class is maybe 45 minutes of class time,
Sure.
then the child is said, well, you're to do this.
Okay.
I will be here listening, or if you have problems.
Sure.
And I'm talking because I am there sitting, like you said,
Sure.
visit the class. So
Absolutely.
I'm there and I'm
Yes.
listening.
Yes.
So what do you do when the child
Yes.
reaches out for help
Yes.
and you say to the child, well, just do your best. Well, if the child didn't understand the concept, then what do you do from there? Or you tell the child, well, Miss So-and-so, I don't understand. Well, just guess. This is what I've heard with my ear. And I'm saying, it's different. It's hard for parents, grandparents, and it's also hard for the teachers and the administrator because we've all been dropped this bomb in our lap.
Absolutely.
So what do you do when you're trying to, the child, you're trying to get the child on a routine,
Sure.
but the teachers are not on a routine?
Absolutely.
How do we as parents combat that? Do we address it?
Absolutely.
Which I have addressed it.
Okay.
And if I do not see any changes, what do you advise a parent to do for the next step?
Absolutely.
That's
So
a good
after
question.
you have come to me as a teacher
Yes,
and you've expressed your concerns,
yes,
hopefully in that session, myself as a teacher, yourself as the parent, we've talked about it. You've shared with me your concerns.
yes.
We have come to some place of resolve. Or we've talked about it, it has been addressed. If after that, after so much, maybe give me 1 or 2 days, 1 or 2 class meetings, just watch the things that we have addressed and talked about.
Yes.
I should respond to and rotate them if that was our agreement.
Right.
If after that it's not resolved, I can have no problem with you going to the next step, which is to consult my administrator.
Okay.
Okay, so when you consult my administrator, and that's why I tell parents, and this is just advice. My father being a retired administrator, my sister was a classroom educator, and I am as well. But Daddy always taught us, take good notes. Okay, take good notes so that you have documentation that on this day,
Very nice.
I met with the teacher. We talked about this. This is what happened. Blah blah blah. I'm expecting that the teacher also has taken their notes. We've all come together. This is the plan that we walked away with. Now we're back at this next level. And so now, here you are as a parent, you're saying, I spoke with the educator, I spoke with my child's teacher on such and such a date, this is what was addressed, and I haven't seen this turn around. Can you
Like a
assist me in
paper
this?
trail?
Right.
Like-
Yes.
like
Can
paper
you
trail.
assist me
Right.
in turning this situation around? Okay, so me as a classroom teacher, I cannot be upset with you for that.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so right now, because what we're realizing more with this virtual situation is the importance of the voice of home.
Yes.
Right.
The home in virtual school has such a strong voice.
Yes, absolutely.
It is a voice that it's really not had, or we really didn't realize it to the fullness
Yes.
as we do now.
Yes.
So now what you have is mom and dad, they're working, or all of these different dynamics, and now they're my other they're the other teacher's assistant. You understand? Mom and dad are.
Yes.
So they need clear understanding as to what I'm teaching, how I teach it, and they have to be able to implement it at home. So if there's a disconnect between home and the classroom, the whole system is shut down. So home and the classroom, the teacher and the parents have to work together. Teacher and grandparents have to work together. If those lines of communication are down, the child is lost.
Okay.
The child is lost. So be the voice for your child. And that's what I've always encouraged parents to do. You're the voice for your child. Be that voice. Let your request be made known. Now, I will say to a parent as well, especially when you get into middle school and you have multiple teachers.
Right.
We all know each teacher has their own personality, their own way.
Teaching style.
So if I don't teach like Miss Smith,
Right.
don't charge me, because you have some teachers that technology, that's their best friend. They
Yes,
can fly with
right,
it.
right.
Well, again, you have a teacher like me that technology is 2 AA batteries.
Yes.
I can't help you. Don't know. If it doesn't say shift or exit, I'm gone.
Yes.
So, but I have my own way. So I may not do it like Miss Smith, but I promise you, with everything in me as an educator, I promise to try to give your child the best educational experience that they can have.
Okay.
So talk to me about whatever, and I say that to any parent. Talk to me as a teacher.
I know you guys are enjoying this. We're deep into this
Okay.
evolution.
Yeah,
I'm here with you. Evolution of education,
Mm-hmm.
part 2. We're past Little House on the Prairie and the Waltons and walking to school. And we're past, like, when I was in high school, just walk your 3 miles, go to Urban High School, don't get in trouble, you better not be in the counselor's office, da-da-da. You know, you better not lose your books. At the end of the school year, you had to turn in your books, or my mom had to pay. We're past that. Now it's wake up, wash your face, brush your teeth, go downstairs, or go around the corner, get on that computer, and let's go for it. So everything has changed, and I'm very glad to have them here because,
Behind you.
yeah.
No.
So, I got off track. Where are we?
Go ahead.
I do have another question, and I don't want to dominate the session, but, and you being a virtual teacher,
Yes, ma'am.
I've asked this question to a cluster of teachers, and I have yet to get an answer.
Okay.
So I pray you have an answer for me.
Oh, that's right.
One of the
Okay.
things I ask, because I am really involved in the virtual school, because I want to know what's going on.
Sure.
And one of the questions I asked when we did meet is, are the assignments computer generated, or are the teachers meeting together, collaborating, and getting the assignments aligned with the curriculum? And I have yet to receive an answer, because as now I'm going to talk as an educator now.
Sure.
I don't see the alignment,
Sure.
and there are teachers doing A, and one's doing B, and one's doing Z.
Sure.
And then you're compounding all of this and coming from different avenues, and these kids are looking and going down a one-way street, and their arrows pointing everywhere.
Right.
So the question I wonder,
Sure.
are there assignments computer generated, or are we collaborating as teachers?
And so my answer is going to be, because I know for my grade level, we meet weekly. We meet every week. We
Okay.
develop our lesson plans for the week, and
Yes.
then we discuss the assignments. Now, each teacher, depending on the school,
Yes.
it highly depends on the school, the
Okay.
administrator, what their expectations are.
Mhm.
Because you have some assignments that are computer generated.
Right.
Yet you do have some assignments where we discuss it amongst ourselves and we generate or build our own assignment.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Now there are some students that I can tell, because now we are in the time of multiple intelligence
Uh-huh.
and different learners, different ways of learning.
Yes.
So you have some students that can sit down and just take this one basic multiple choice exam or multiple choice test or multiple choice assignment, look at it, they've got the choices,
Right.
they generated it, it's great. Then you've got little Johnny who needs hands-on and he's lost in all of
Yes,
these multiple
right,
questions.
right.
So you've got to do something different for
Yes.
him. Every classroom is different. Every student is different. So it basically depends on right now, because this virtual learning is so new for everyone.
Yes.
So I can't give you there's a one-track answer,
Yes.
because there isn't. Some things you can come up with a good assignment, a good way of assessing learning from a computer program. But then there's times you can't, and you just need to be able to put paper to pencil. There are some students that can write and express and tell you what they learned written form. Do your writing, little Johnny. I got your grade. Then there's a child that, depending on the subject matter, may be able to build it. I've got to be able to help these children because they didn't ask for this.
Right.
So to keep them engaged, I've got to spice it up.
Yes.
If I give all the children, if every assignment is just go here, click, 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 you lose them.
Okay.
You lose them because you've got some that can just click. They will click and give you anything, and you cannot even assess learning because they just click to get done. So I don't know if that answers gives you a clearer answer, but right now I don't know if there is a just straight one way to get it done.
Okay.
Because I know from my grade level, we meet every week.
Okay.
We discuss what we're teaching every week.
Mhm.
We pull together different ways of assessing learning. We do.
Right.
There's so many different ways we can do it. And for some teachers, she may be able to put together a slide presentation, a Google slide, and get them to do it, and they fly with it. If technology is not my thing, I've got to find another way to assess, did you get what I taught you? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's kind of, I don't think there's not a cookie cutter method right now.
Right.
Just as you all are learning, we as the educators, we're
Right.
learning it too, and we're trying to see, like right now for me, teaching my kindergarten students, I'm teaching them the different ways to add. Different ways to add. Whether it be by tally marks, whether it be by using their counters, whether it be by using their fingers. There's so many different
Yes.
ways.
Right.
But I can't get that from them just sending them to the computer to do a click. I need to be able to see them actually do the learning.
Yes.
Do you see what I'm
Yes,
saying?
yes.
So for every different lesson, there's a different way to do it.
The older kids,
Yes, ma'am.
a lot of videos, it seems like a lot of busy work.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
some things are not gonna even be graded.
Sure.
Go here for this video, go
Sure.
there,
Sure.
do this.
Sure.
And
Right.
then,
That's what they're doing.
and are the teachers really reading their answers?
Right.
Okay, are you writing something afterwards? Are you talking about it? Or are you discussing? So, wait, I wanna ask, are the class discussing when they look at movies or look at videos? Are they coming back together?
Well, I'm going to interject this,
Sure.
because I'm always transparent, and
Sure.
I'm going to be that way.
Absolutely.
It's just a way of life.
Mhm.
Getting back when you asked the question about the videos and what they're reading. Now, there was a book that my granddaughter was reading that they were talking about demons and demonic things.
Oh.
And I called the school because I had an issue with we're raising our kids in a godly fashion, in a godly manner. Then why would you implement this book that's saying is talking about dark places and what I do is I read the book that my grandchildren are reading. So when I encounter this, I address it. To this day, I have not received any feedback from the teachers concerning this book.
Wow.
And another issue, and then I'm going to be quiet. Another issue that parents have, a few have asked me, their books, specifically math books that they're having. A math book is a tool used so the child, when they're learning these skills, they're writing, and then it's a tool for them to use when they're doing homework. Well, if you open math books, nothing's written in these math books. And a lot of times when my granddaughter's having problems with math, I'll say, bring your math book. Where is this in this book? There's nothing lined up in that book. And these parents are having issues. And the only thing I could say is you talk to your child's math teacher. Even though I know that I've encountered some of this, it is not right for me to impose what I feel or think on other parents. So I kind of redirect them back to the school, but we're not getting answers.
And so, with you not getting answers, again, I state again, follow that chain.
Yes.
Start with the teacher first.
Okay.
If you don't get it at that level, then you can always go to the administrator. Now, you raised the question about the books, about demons and different things like
Yes.
that. The only question I could pose to you on that situation is, if you are in a Christian school, then, and this is the criteria by which we pick what we read, and that's what we do, then okay. But now, honestly, if you're in a public school setting,
You have no.
because we're not a church,
Yes.
we're a school.
Right.
And so, I must be prepared as a public school educator. There's a lot of books that are written now that may come from a subject matter that I don't agree with in my faith. But it'll always come back to me, this is not a church.
Yes.
This is public school where we serve everybody.
Everybody.
And so, for whatever reason
Yes.
that book was picked, if there's no set guidelines from the higher levels that say this, you can't do books on this subject matter or that
Right.
subject matter.
It's
If that's
open.
not there, it's
It's
wide
open.
open.
Yes.
And so, you as that parent who I understand you have that standard set in your home,
Yes.
you can't be surprised. And there's the reason why you probably haven't received an answer yet
They don't
is
have
because
it.
they're like, crickets, ma'am, we're not the church. We pick books. And
Right.
so I'm not saying every email, sure, you would love to get a response back.
Yes.
But as a parent, prepare yourself. This is public education.
Okay.
Okay, you understand what I'm saying with
Yes.
that? Now, does that make sense? Does that
It
answer your
does,
question?
yes,
Okay.
It does,
Now-
because when I was teaching, Harry Potter came out.
Sure.
I sit and told my kids, they were third graders, and one year taught fourth graders. I told them they couldn't even read some of the fourth and third grade, and Harry Potter was like fifth and sixth. I said, if you want Harry Potter, let your parents pick you up after school and go by the library.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want Harry Potter
Mm-hmm.
and sorcery and all of that in my classroom, but they had a right to pick that. But I didn't have any feedback from the parents, not feedback or any repercussions, because I told the child. Because some of my kids, that was witchcraft. That was everything. That was my religion that maybe I was imposing. I didn't get in trouble, but it was there in the library.
Sure.
So the kids had a right to get it, but they did not
Sure.
do it. Because I think maybe they said, well, maybe she's afraid or whatever. I just didn't want Harry Potter in my classroom.
Absolutely. But then at the same time, and what we as public school educators,
Mhm.
we have to be able to say, but based upon my beliefs,
Mhm.
I can't push my beliefs
Right.
on my students and say you
Right.
can't because I don't believe.
Mhm.
But it's not about me when I'm a public school
School
educator.
Okay. And I do
And you
understand
understand what I'm
that.
saying?
I-
Yes.
I
Okay.
totally understand,
Okay.
but I guess
Sure.
it gets to be personal because there should be a purpose
Sure.
for reading.
Mm-hmm.
What is your purpose? There should be learning
Mm-hmm.
that comes from reading this material. You should be able, the materials that we're feeding to our children should be material that's going to make them effective, productive citizens.
Sure. Absolutely.
And
And so and I would say I'm gonna say this. Okay, I was asked to speak for a school one time for a program, and I started out my speaking by saying I come in peace. Okay, so I come in peace to you, and I come in love to you when I'm about to say this.
okay.
You are a retired, successful educator, right?
Yes.
You've been in the classroom a long time, right? And so for a lot of this new way of educating,
Yes.
it's clashing with the
Right.
system that you knew.
Right.
Yes.
Because you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I'm not saying how we knew it then
Yes.
but there's a difference because the educators of today aren't the educators that you were when you were teaching in the
Right.
classroom. And
Absolutely.
what you prize as this is why we do what we do.
Yes.
Now you have different educators in the classroom and their views may be very different as to
Yes.
why they do what they do. So for you as a grandparent, when it's hitting you, when information hits you, it goes through your filter, not just as grandma, not just as mom, but it goes as an educator.
Right.
And then it hits that system of what it was at one time. And we can see as we're sitting here talking about the evolution.
Yes.
of
Yes.
education.
Yes.
Things have changed.
They have changed.
Things
Yes.
have changed. I was going to say when you brought up the question about math, there was a time where we just knew 2 + 2 is 4.
Yes.
Put up 2 fingers, 2 + 2 is 4. Count your fingers, there it is. Well, now there's some of this stuff they introduced as the new math. Honey, what was new? How you get new from 2 + 2 = 4? But the ways they're teaching children now how to get their answers, what is, honey, just go get some Cheerios. Let's lay them out on the table, add them up and count. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
But they're inventing
Yes,
so many
yes.
different new ways.
Absolutely.
It's revolving. It's revolving.
It's coming.
But
Yes.
we had everyday math when I
Yeah.
and it wasn't every day
No.
because I had to sit down and say, wait a minute, I'm with you.
I did.
2 and 2
Yes.
is 4. Now why do I need to go over here to pick up those and back and then trying to
You
explain
know.
it? And my son had the same problem.
Sure.
And Gabriel is around. I was
Sure.
telling him, I said, maybe you need to call Israel
Yeah.
but he found somebody in Charlotte. Jaden said, Daddy, it's not the same way.
It's not.
It's not. And
But
Ryan
now-
was getting And I'm
It's
saying
not.
it is not the same.
But what I have found is in my talking with parents of
Yeah.
today, dealing with virtual education, virtual learning, you got daddy and mama that's been working or online all
Right.
day. By the time they get to that table to do the work, they're like, look, I'm gonna show you how we did it the old way.
Yeah,
We got the same
absolutely.
answer. I mean, real talk.
Yeah,
That's what's happening.
But now it's more the process.
Right, and
It's
see,
a process.
It's the process.
and people don't, and real talk in education right now, the process is processing me.
Yes.
And it's processing on my nerves.
Yes.
So again, go get them Cheerios, we're gonna add this to
That's
the problem.
right. And
then
here's
you're gonna
your
go take a
answer.
bath and go on the bed.
That's right.
Now, let's address this because you brought up when you opened the book. Textbooks, those were gone. So now
Yeah.
these things that they're doing now, and we're seeing them, even word problems are so different.
Oh,
Right.
It's just
Oh,
so
oh.
different. So then, what some of us have discussed before, and it may be a request from home to the school. Parents are asking for a how-to session on this kind of math that
Yes,
you're teaching,
right. Yes.
so that you see
Yes.
how we're teaching what we teach.
Right.
When I introduce myself to parents, I tell them quick, I'm an old school teacher. I'm an old school teacher. So some of these new things that they're doing, I look at it and I slow blink. I'm like, oh, okay, that's nice. Okay, honey, cat is CAT, write that down. You know, we go to, I'm old school.
Yes.
So some of the new ways that they're doing things,
Yes.
some of us, we've got to learn it and grab it quick.
Honey.
And some of it, when we try to grab it, it's not, so there's a lot going on. And because as a virtual school parent or grandparent, you've got so many different teachers, again, teaching in different ways.
Yes.
And then you go out there on YouTube and you try to pull up how to do,
Right.
and so then you've got different ways coming at
To
you and all
do.
these kind of things. So that's where I would encourage a parent, make a request to the teacher. Can we have one night? Right now, because we're not in the building, we're not having PTAs
Yes.
meetings. But if there's a night where I've got about 5 or 6 parents that can get online with me and get on this virtual meeting
Right.
at 6 o'clock, get online with me and let me teach you what I taught in my
Right.
class.
Because I don't want confusion to set in,
And
and
as a-
that's what.
And as
my
a
issue
classroom teacher, I owe you that.
Yes.
Because if I was in the building, there would be one night probably out of
Yes,
the month
right.
where
Yes.
I would be at school for
Yes.
a meeting.
Yes.
But now I'm at home. I can't tell you, well, it's virtual. Just get it yourself. I can't do that.
No.
I owe it to you to avail myself. Now, I might not get on with you every night and do it, Little John's homework with you.
Yeah.
But I will, okay, if I'm
Set up a
shifting,
time.
yes, if I'm shifting subjects, I can see myself saying, okay, any parent that's available, I'm going to be online at 6 o'clock. And if you would like to sign into this meeting, I'll show you exactly what I
That
taught
is
today.
excellent.
And
I
so,
am going
and
to
request
address
it, and
this.
I will. I would
am.
encourage you, ask the parent for a how-to session. And then that way, ask the teacher for a how-to session. She can send out that information. Any other interested parents? All right, let's say on Tuesday night at 6:30, if everybody's available, I will be online at 6:30 and I'll
Yeah,
teach.
and I'm going to say,
Sorry.
Ms. Hardaway, that works tremendously because when I taught on Saturdays, I had 2 sessions.
Sure.
I had a lot of parents who were non-English speaking
Sure.
parents, and because I was self-contained and I was out in a hut,
Yes.
I brought my parents in on Saturday.
Sure.
And for 4 hours,
Sure.
I would teach them
Sure.
the process, the skills
Sure.
that we're going to address this week.
Absolutely.
So that once I taught it to the child,
Absolutely.
and the child went home to do
Absolutely.
homework, which just I want to make sure they understand. So homework is just a refresher. Did
Yes.
you really understand what I taught you in school?
Right.
So the parents were able to assist their children, and I didn't think about that, but that worked
Yes.
so very well. And my parents were, I had parents that came in that wanted to be there because they wanted to make sure their child was progressing and they were learning.
Absolutely.
So I really do appreciate that, and I will address that issue.
Absolutely. It's all
Every day, when I
Because it
start-
works.
Yeah, every day for math, I had parents that would come that would help me in my classroom. I told them, and they had other ones come, we had little sessions.
Yes, it works.
Because they didn't understand, and I had to tell them I didn't.
Sure.
But we can learn this together.
Sure.
But I want to ask you, I'm glad she brought out that the different choices.
Sure.
The book that your granddaughter read, was it the whole class was reading that?
Yes.
Okay.
Wow. And so I know that when we were, okay, here I go back When we were teaching, the books that were assigned were the books we had read the books. We read the books and we discussed the books. So there was always an outline, the process of this is what they're getting, this is the skill, da 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 da. But no questions were answered. You know, I mean, as a parent, I want to know, you know.
And let me, because this flagged me just a minute ago, again. If you send me any form as a teacher, if you send me any form of correspondence, I owe it to you to correspond back, okay?
Absolutely.
So you as a parent do have the right to say, I sent on this such and such day, I sent this email, but I never got a response. I'm not telling you that I don't owe you anything.
Right.
Even if we may not agree, but I still owe you as your child's teacher an answer.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, with that book subject, yes, it would bother probably a lot of parents.
Yes.
So then the next step would be, whatever lesson that you're teaching from this book, I would like to see if there's a way as a parent, I can pick another book that's going to teach the same lesson.
Right.
If that can be a request, and that may be a request for the administrator of the school, not just a classroom teacher, but you may need to go to the principal and say, if the students are learning main idea, I'm just throwing out little character setting.
Right.
Okay. My preference is I would like my child to learn the same lessons from the Three Little Pigs versus the Demon House.
Right.
You understand that?
Yeah.
So, and that, make your request. If there's anything I would tell a parent, make your voice heard.
Yes.
It's almost like what we're taught about in the healthcare system. If there's some patients that are in nursing homes and things like that, if nobody ever sees family come through,
Right.
it's going to be a different level of care
Right.
versus a patient who has family that's in there
Around the clock.
consistently every day.
Yes.
Because they know these people are coming,
Yes.
they're paying attention and they're looking. Same thing for your children. If they know there's nobody that's ever going to show up to the meetings, PTA, whatever it is, or they don't, then okay, I never hear from this parent anyway. But when it's a concerned parent that's involved in the education, and if nothing else, what else I've seen of virtual school, it has required home to take their rightful place
Yes.
in the platform of education, because there is a place for home. I, as a classroom teacher, can't do it all.
Right.
I can't. And when virtual school brought education to a halt, now the classroom is in your living room. Now the classroom is in your dining room.
Right.
So now it's all hands on deck for real.
Yes.
And now you're realizing you have a voice in this too. Don't get quiet now because now you're frustrated. Now you're like, let your voice be made heard all the time, consistently. Let their teacher know, I'm going to be in it. I'm going to be in it.
Yeah.
I'm wondering why they're learning this, how they're doing this, and let your voice be heard.
And also, I think that with that book, if you wrote that book down and it wasn't appropriate, there probably was other parents. And you could talk about that. There's also, I have seen where books were taken out from the system because enough parents have brought that to attention that this was against such and such and such. So I would revisit that if I was you. I would go through the steps like she was saying. The teacher didn't answer the question. I would go to the principal. I would see the relevance of this book. What are they trying to teach my child? And voice your opinion and said that I really don't care for this book. And what are you trying to teach my child with the demons, with the, try to find out, because if that book is on their list, the next year it's gonna, it's gonna go to somebody else.
And this is one of the
Just like
avenues
with
I'm trying to get to not have that book. And
go
they know who I am. They know who I am in the state of North Carolina. They know who I am in the state of South Carolina. Because I am active in both schools. I don't care if I have to drive 2.5 hours. They know me when I walk through that door. But I am my grandchildren's advocate.
Sure.
And parents are advocates for their children.
Yeah, take that step. I say take that step because just like with 5th grade and 6th grade, I remember years ago, some of the parents didn't want their children to have sex education.
Mhm.
They didn't
opted
want
out.
the school to do that,
Mhm.
and they pulled their children.
Yeah, they
So
opted
with that book to help for someone else,
Mhm.
and I would see what's the relevance.
Yes.
What are you trying to do? What do you want my child to find out about this? So I would revisit that
Mhm.
and see if the whole class, when was this kind of book ordered for everybody?
Yes, I'm just-
So that means if she's in the 5th grade, or all the 5th grade,
Right, right.
and
Or just
Cumberland,
her teacher.
or
yeah.
just her teacher.
Yes.
Because if it's, did each child, was it on like a Chrome, on the book, on Chromebook,
Or
or?
what's a hand? They actually had to go to the school, pick up the book. The book, that's why I read the book. I was able to read the book.
I would find out more information about it.
Because I'm not only am I concerned about my granddaughter, I'm concerned about the children that are coming after.
That's what I'm saying too, because
Yeah.
with me, when I was doing consulting for Child Care Solution, I kind of stopped because of the system, how it's coming around. I was teaching one class, and I was telling them about parents. Like you have your mom, your dad, your sisters and brothers, that's your family. And one of the ladies said, Miss Brooks, a family, what the world is saying is 2 women or 2 men.
That's true.
And another lady says in the class, devil is a lie. She said, this is my own daycare, and I'm not doing that. And I said, am I in a predicament now that this is what I'm supposed to be teaching? I'd rather not do this. I'd rather not do this training. So that's why I'm saying I had to make up my mind, no, I can't teach that Vanessa and I are a couple, or you and I are a couple. So that's why I'm just saying, go back and revisit
Yeah.
that. Go back.
Yeah, so, I don't know if I answered, I don't know if I helped bring clarity in any way. But it's a different, education has taken on a different face. It has, and like I said, I know for parents and grandparents, especially when you've got little people at home that you didn't birth yourself.
Right,
Yes.
yes.
And so for the grandparent, my heart goes out extra
Right.
to them because it's been about, how many years maybe? It could be 20, 30, 40 years since they've had a little person in their house.
Right.
And so now they're having to go back and start
Yes,
all
start
over
over
again
again.
with their child. And this is the other part, and I'm going to close with this. I encourage parents also, if a child is with their grandparents and they go visit their parents on the weekend, I've asked for conferences with everybody involved so that we're all on the same page.
That's right.
And so, because you have grandparents that hold strong to the standards of my class, but
Right.
when they go see their parents on the weekend, the
Yes,
parents
yes.
just let it go.
Absolutely.
So then the grandparent has to rebuild when they come back
Yes,
to you
absolutely.
and we start the cycle all over again. So get everybody on the same page. Get everybody on the same page.
Yes.
And we all come together so that we're all doing the same thing. Because our goal is to get a strong student out of this whole situation. So that's just my encouragement. So we don't claim to do it all right,
No,
but we're
no, no,
learning as we
no.
go.
I'm just trying to be a voice.
Yes, ma'am, please.
I'm a
And
voice.
continue to be that.
Yes.
Continue to be that.
And I'm just being a good host.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wonderful. It's very
Okay,
good.
Muriel, are you talking about Black history?
Yes, I wanted to share some books for Black history is not just for Black people.
Right. Amen.
It's for all people to know because they made some monumental marks for all of us. And as I was going through, I'm going to read something about a world without Black people. I want to share some books of, some of them have come through our church, and other ones, I just have some, I have some books from teaching, and I got rid of a lot of books. But this little girl, she came to our church, and it's Now I See. It's Wonder Child's Gift of Vision and Music. And this little girl, this is a good book. This is a Black little girl.
Yes.
There's another book, and she was there, and she signed our book,
Yes.
From Slave to Cowboy. a lot of little kids want to hear about cowboys, and you have your own opinion about cowboys and Indians. But some of the slaves were cowboys, and this is From Slave to Cowboy. It's the Nate Love story, and it's by Holly Crawford. I went to the National Museum of African American History and Culture, and Sheila, your son has something in there. This is, if you need to go on a field trip when we can to Washington, D.C., we were there 3 days. The bottom, you will cry and cry and cry. When you get to the top, you will laugh, showing you how Africans were brought here and how people thought they were stupid, but they were not. They were very educated. They did a lot of things. They talked different. And we're trying to assemble them into something that they were not. Another book, Duke Ellington.
Oh.
And it's Andrea David Pickney and Brian illustration. Just some books. This was a former principal of mine. It's a princess called Pinka, and written by Juan Mackenzie. We have these books at school, Meet the Challenge, biographies of Black Americans. They're kind of older. We can get together now and do some new Muhammad Ali and Mary McLeod Bethune.
Wow.
This is the first person in my book I'm writing about it. My grandmother knew. She was so interested in us getting education. This lady started a school.
Wow.
A lot of the, she was from a poor family. But they stuck together and through the last days of slavery. They were free, and they end up in Maysville, South Carolina. Carol's from South Carolina. And she was the youngest of the children. And I can't say my grandmother knew her, but she had a lot of pictures up. She was saying, if she can be somebody, y'all gonna be somebody too.
Thundercake.
But it's a good book. But it's not African American, but it's a good book. Mufara's beautiful daughter.
These are old books bringing back memories.
These are family time.
Yes.
Because right now at school, I have to be honest, when you were in school, if they taught about Martin Luther King and Harriet Tubman, said, there's your black history, there's your black history, but blacks you can talk about them every day as long as you talk. At the museum, I got Great American, African American. This is a coloring book. And I love, at school, we had this book called The Real McCoy.
Oh.
Elijah McCoy. He was born in Canada, and his parents, they were slaves. They left the United States to Canada so that they could be free. And he ended up being an engineer and everything. He came back to the United States, went to Ypsilanti, Michigan. Nobody wanted to hire him. But he ended up working on the railroad.
Okay.
He made a cup for the lubrication to help so they wouldn't have a fire.
Oh.
All these inventions, but I'll tell you later, a lot of the inventions, I'm going to read a story. And
We were a lot of inventions that we invented because we were black, and they would not give us the patent.
That's it.
So the masters got the patent,
Right.
and we actually invented it. Like the biscuit cutter, the ice cream scoop, the everything. There's so many things, and it just takes me back because for Black History, they said February was Black History Month. Well, I taught Black History all through the year, and for the month of February, it was everything was centered around Black History. And what I did with my children, they could not do Martin Luther King, Frederick Douglass. They had to do some research on the modern black inventors. And you would be amazed as to what we as a people invented, but we were not given the credit.
And I have that. And this is a book from two of the people at my church. Meet the authors, Dolores Stevens and Evelyn McCrae. Hooray for Saturday. So I just wanted you to know, if it's not Black History, they're by Black Americans, and everyone could read them. I want to read you a story about a world without Black people.
Wow.
Just think about it. Some people right now want to get rid of us. But if we take our inventions, okay, this is called A World Without Black People. This is a story of a little boy named Alex. He woke up one morning and asked his mother, "Mom, what if there were no Black people in the world?" His mother thought about what he said for a moment and replied, "Son, follow me today and let's see what it'd be like if there was no Black people in the world." Mom said, "We will get dressed so we can start our day." Alex ran to his room to put on his clothes and shoes. A few minutes later, his mother asked, "Alex, where are your shoes? And your clothes are wrinkled, so we have to iron them." She reached for the ironing board, but it was not there. Alex asked why, and his mother replied, "Alex, Sarah Boone, a Black woman, invented the iron board, and Jane E. Meslinger, a Black man, invented the shoe lacing machine." Alex sighed, and he proceeded to comb his hair. To his amazement, the comb and the brush was not where they should have been. He asked his mother where the comb and brush were, and she replied, "We don't have a comb and a brush." Since the comb was invented by a Black man named Walter Sampson,
Wow.
and the brush was invented by a Black woman named Lydia O. Newman. Alex looked at his mother's hair and said, "Mom, your hair care products must have been invented by a Black person also, because your hair is not done." His mom said, "Yes, Madam C.J. Walker invented hair care products for Blacks." Alex was beginning to understand what his mother said when it was time to eat breakfast. Alex and his mother went to the kitchen for breakfast and discovered the refrigerator was missing
Wow.
because it was invented by a Black man
Wow.
named John Standard. The range oven was missing because it was invented by a Black man, Thomas Carrington. And the kitchen table was missing since it was invented by H.A. Jackson.
We can't eat.
At this point, Alex yelled, "Mom, we aren't having much luck today." Mom said, "Alex, it's time to start our chores around the house and take a trip to the grocery store." Mom told Alex his chores today was to sweep the floor and cut the lawn. When Alex finished sweeping, he looked for the dustpan. And to his surprise, it was not there. His mom told him it was invented by Lloyd P. Ray, a Black man. Since he did not know what to do with the trash that he swept it into a corner and went outside to cut the lawn, but the lawnmower was not there. Thinking it had been stolen, he told his mom it wasn't there. And she told him because it was invented by J.A. Burke. While Alex was trying to figure out how he's going to cut the lawn, his mother washed clothes. When the clothes were finished, she asked Alex to put them in the clothes dryer. But it was not there either. Why? It was invented by a Black man named George T. Salmon. By now, Alex was feeling helpless and disappointed that he could not complete his chores. Mom asked Alex to go get a pencil and paper so they could make a grocery list. Of course, he was in more disappointment because the pencil lead was broken.
Man.
And he couldn't sharpen it since a pencil sharpener was invented by a Black man named John Love. Do you think that was love in our church? Mom reached for a fountain pen but did not see one since it was invented by William Purvis, another black man. They were both at a standstill since there was no typewriter, since it also was invented by a black Lee Burridge. The other thing left for them to do was to go grocery shopping. They got into the car, but it would not run. Since Richard Spikes, a black man, invented the automatic gear shift, and Joseph Gamble was responsible for the supercharged system for the internal combustion engine. By now, most of the day was gone and it was getting cold outside. Alex asked his mother why she didn't use the heating furnace. She replied she couldn't since it was invented by Alice. Girls, it's Alice Parker. Our lady invented that. Alex said, let me guess. She was black. Alex's father walked in as he was talking to his mother. He was carrying a handful of mail, and Alex asked why. His mother told him he had no choice since the letter drop mailbox was invented by a black man named Philip Dowling, as well as the postmarking and a canceling machine was invented by William Perry, who was also black. With the wondering mind that Alex had, he started thinking, if he ever needed blood, there would be no way for him to get it, since Charles R. Drew, a black scientist, created the world's first blood bank. Or if anyone in his life needed heart surgery, they would not be able to get it, since Daniel Hale Williams, a black physician, performed the first open heart surgery. For the first time, Alex understood what the world would be like without black people, since he and his mother was having the final conversation of the night in a dark room. You see, the filament within the light bulb was invented by someone black named Lewis Howard Latimer. We all know that. Who gets credit? Thomas who? Thomas Edison. If you ever wondered, like Alex, what the world would be like without black people, just think about what it would be like to eat in the dark on the floor, walk everywhere you had to go, wear wrinkled clothes, not be able to write with a pencil or pen, not comb or brush your hair, and let's not forget, reading this on the computer, what it would be impossible, since the keyboard used to type it originated from the typewriter. Get the picture? A day without black. So we need one another.
Yes.
We need one another in this world. And you can
So
find
much.
a lot. There's a zoologist was named Roger Young, was the first African American, Roger, says she's a Roger and Arlene. It's Roger and Arlena were the first African American woman to receive a doctorate degree in zoology.
Wow.
Yeah. And then there was a couple other, and of course, you know Ben Carson. He was a pediatric neurosurgeon, and he this Siamese, actually.
Siamese.
Siamese. Twins. Gifted hands. And then Mamie Clark, she's a psychologist. And you might have heard this experience. She conducted in 1940 experiments using dolls to study children's attitude about race.
Wow.
Where a lot of the little girls, they were 2 or 3 dolls, and they were black little girls. They went and picked up the white dolls because of their hair and everything.
Oh my God.
So that was in 1940, and then in the first black president of the American Psychological Association is a black woman. So, and inventor Good, I brought her out, Sarah Good. She was the cabinet bed inventor. first African American woman to receive a patent in the United States. So on the train, she was the one that showed them that they needed a bed. And they used that bed in airplanes. Her idea. So we all are very important. And Garrett Morgan, as you're going down the street,
Stoplight.
the stoplight, the lights used to have red and green. He was the one that put in the yellow.
gosh,
Okay.
you're right.
Yeah. And he invented the gas mask. There's a story
Oh, I heard.
about him. They were in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm from Ohio. And they had a big, they were working on a bridge and they hit a gas leak. And he had already invented the gas mask and no one could help these people. 4 or 5 of them were dead inside. Him and his brother put on the gas mask and went inside, but he didn't get recognition for later. And like Carolyn had brought out, a lot of the slaves invented things.
Masters
But
of the patent.
They took the patent, and if you take the patent, it belongs
It
to
belongs
you.
to you.
And really, I was telling Sheeta today, and this is just facts. Kentucky Fried Chicken. I don't think he cooked that chicken. I
And
really
I know.
don't. I think he took the patent. No, I just don't believe it within my heart. Colonel Sanders, I wish you could come down and talk to me about it.
My
But-
Lord.
But
My Lord.
that's a day.
Yes.
And we all have inventions. I look at a lot of the little kids right now, the scientists, the doctors, the teachers, the lawyers, and me in my eyes, mindset, God made us all with our different minds. And you don't want to inhibit anyone for what they want to be.
Absolutely not.
And we have the scientists here for a
Right.
reason. We have the doctors here. Everyone does not believe like we're believing. And I just want to end it with this. I have a good friend that I went to Ohio State with. She's a research person. And she's researching the vaccine. Another person researched with polio. And I just believe when the world needs these different people, they're scientists, and in their place, and they're doing good things. So don't knock it. We need the people that pick up garbage. From one thing, they started just picking it up. Now somebody had to invent that big handle
Right.
that pulls that out
That's
and empty it.
Yeah.
So we just want everyone to be able to use their mind, their hands, because the HBC said a mind is a terrible thing to waste. And we don't want anyone out there wasting their mind.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay?
And actually, Let's Talk would not be here if you didn't have 4 black women. Y'all know I had to say it. I hope y'all enjoyed that. Yes, it was long, but we have a lot of information and there is no reason you won't be informed. So we will see you next week on Let's Talk, and we start in March off with Women's History Month. They don't know it, but they know it now. Anyway, we love y'all. We'll